150 metres to 200 metres, it becomes a true swell. It's just coming up from Antarctica all the way up, wherever it may be from. And in those days is when you get like the wind comes up, say 15, 20 knots southerly, and you get a 2-knot current running south. The waves tend to stand up, a bit like going through the seaway and run out tide, but a bit bigger. So make sure you know what you're doing there as well, okay? There's a lot of things that come into it. And I've been out there and there's big waves breaking. It's really scary. It's like going through the surf and you're 50 k's offshore. So just be careful. So safety is paramount. That's what it boils down to. You all know that. Please remember too, your radio will probably not work out there, but someone else in the vicinity will hear you and hope you can hear them. But you probably won't be able to get the seaway or something like that when you're about 50 k's offshore. But there is channel 80, I can't remember what number channel is now. 82, I think it is a repeater station. So if you're in emergency and you can't get anyone, you might be able to get them on 16, but probably don't go there unless it's the last resort. But if you're a bit stressed about something, channel 82 is a repeater station. It works off Tamborine Mountain and Brisbane Radio. And your signal will be a lot more easily read on that particular channel. So if you can remember that as an emergency. Okay, now we get to the gear, to the fun part. So deep dropping. So I was starting close, 100 metres is what I class in close for deep dropping. And obviously you can fish by hand. How many people here have used an electric before? Okay, quite a few of you, that's good. So, and the other guys, I've hand fished. The first time I did deep dropping was about 2000, and out here, and I used a 30-watt Tiago, it was, or International, I can't remember, and it was filled up with about 1,000 metres of about 80-pound braid, and it took over an hour to wind it up. It was quite slow and quite hard, and that was only fighting the sinker. Okay, no fish. It was hard. It was really hard. Deck winches. How many people got big LV deck winches? You got LV deck winches. So still got them. Still got them. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, mine is storage too. But in the day, that was the thing, and you took turns with your mates, like 5 minutes on, 5 minutes change around tag team, and that's how it was for deep dropping out here. And then the advent of electric reels come along, and it just made life so much easier. But we'll come to the size of the rods and reels in a moment. But in the tackle, the most important things are matching up the sinker to suit your rod. So if you put too big a sinker on too light a rod, obviously it's going to be out of whack, right? And all weird. I just came back from the Swains last night, and we did some deep dropping on the way back in about 160 metres off sort of one tree, which is, or masthead, up the top end of the bunker group. And we smashed it. We actually smashed it. They'd never fished there before. I just picked it up off CMAT reveal, and it was just a little dark shadow, and I said, can we please just try there on the way back in? And we did, and we absolutely killed it. And it just shows if you just use that CMAT reveal or Navionics reveal release shading, incredible. So most of those little things you see are real. They're either a hill, or they're an indent, or they're a ridge, or wherever it may be. Sorry. We got, I believe it or not, I was the first one to get down because I was anxious. There's 20 of us on the side of Big Cat. And I got a first drop, I got about an 89 centimetre snapper, about 8 kilos or so. That was a big one. And I couldn't believe I pulled a snapper up out of there, you know. And next minute, old mate next to me pulled up a flame snapper in 140 metres. But the flame snapper there are exactly the same as ours, but they don't have the little whip tail on the end. And I've never caught them in that shallow before. It was 150 metres. And then we just started pulling in iron jaw, huge rosy jobs that were like 6 kilo average, kingfish, amberjacks, and we got one ruby snapper, which is quite shallow for ruby, I believe. But we never got any gold bands. But we got every other type of that type of species. Really good eating fish. 2 drifts, we got 56 fish, and I don't know if anyone's been on a Big Cat before. Yeah, you know, right? So the big esky at the back, chocker block in 2 drifts, and we had 2 big red nelly bins full as well. And it was like I'm estimating about 300 kilos of fish in 2 drifts. Yeah. Again, so that's what I'm getting at is most of your spots on that sort of thing, Navionics apps or whatever, the release shading, and that's how we find. Every time we go out, we make a point of trying to find a new spot, and they're true, and they're untouched, most of them. because people just don't make the effort, or it's too far out, whatever it may be. So what I believe was flame snapper out here was only in one spot many years ago. Go back about 2014 or something when we first started to get them. Now I would have maybe 30 marks south of Point Lookout down the jumping pin and out that I can catch flame snapper in that 10 by 20k area anywhere. They're everywhere. So it's just a matter of hunting them and finding them and trying those little shades, zooming in and when you're trolling, how many people here troll in summer out in the deeper water? If you do, you should be zooming in the bottom and look at the bottom. Don't worry about the bait and the game fish. There's, I'll jump on anyhow. So concentrate on zooming in 20 metres on the bottom or 30 metres on the bottom and marking every little rise or every little bit of fish you see on the bottom, mark it. Then winter, go back out and fish it. That's how we do it. Okay. Anyhow, back to the gear. I will start off on the rods and reels actually. So if you fish, we'll start on electric. So if you're fishing for pearlies and maybe up to flamies, but definitely pearl perch, something small like that is all that you guys need. Okay. That's a little Leo Brits 300, holds about 350 meters of 60-pound or 50-pound braid, which is plenty. And you run about 60-pound leader, and away you go. And very soft. And the whole idea is having a fairly soft rod, and you'll feel the bites and see the bites, and you can still put, I think up to around about, on jigs 350 gram, but on the sink you can double that, so probably up to about that size, which is about 24, 32, sorry. So that's about 800 grams, yeah. So probably that size, yeah. And the Shimano do a version, same sort of thing as well. This is a plays 800. Oops, sabotage. Plays was it 800? Yep, 800. Again, 300 meters of about 60-pound braid, and that's a little. That's what I was sort of using up at the Swains in that deep water. Reverse, so like a spiral wrap, and again, plenty of power to pull them up. Those little things, what we're just ripping up. I actually got 3 rosy jobs all around. One was about probably 6 kilo, 3 and 3 kilo. On that thing, is ripped it up with the kilo sinker on the end. So they're pretty powerful. Next step up, if you're going to fish in that close area, would probably be your deep drop rods, which you can use obviously out wider, but something like a Tanacom 1000, been around forever, still available, still a good reel, still popular because of the price, and they hold about 700 to 800 meters of about 80 pound. So you can use that out in 500 meters, right? Okay, and well priced. And then probably the most popular outfit we sell, just because they're tough as, is the Shimano Force Master in 9000. Still use that on pearlies in 100 meters deep. Definitely use it out in 500 meters deep, and anything in between. And they hold 1,000 meters of 80, and they're very, very powerful. And the rod is it looks quite light, it's quite soft, but you need to be soft to see pearlies. So when we first did it, my rod was like I think it was an 80-pound chair rod, because you couldn't buy deep drop rods back in the day. So it was an 80-pound game chair rod with a big long butter in it, and it was about 7'6" long overall. Length was good, and a big Mia Epoch reel. But I still got that, and I've got to actually change the rod down a bit lighter. But I'd hardly use it because it's just way too big. Okay, if you want to use it, they're good and they're strong. Not incredibly fast, but the little reels are very powerful and very fast. And it's rare that the Tanacom does have a tendency, if you've got, say, 2 30-kilo cods on, to stop on the way up, or even 30-kilo cod, or a big king maybe. It stops for a second and then it just goes again. But the, like say, the Beastmaster or the not Tanacom Bull, the other, I can't remember the name of it now, sorry. The other Dyer ones, in the better quality ones, they have a brushless motor. They don't heat up, they don't stop, they just keep coming. And the only time they stop is when the fish wants to pull, so it allows itself to let the fish take the line out. And then as soon as the fish stops pulling, it then quickly snaps back in again. keeps it coming. Otherwise, it'll rip the hook out of the mouth. Does that all make sense? So that's your rods and reels. And we've got everything in between as well. Sinker size. Now, if I'm fishing for pearlies in that sort of 120 metre mark, so look, I'm using generally a bit bigger than a 16 ounce, so a 20 or a 24 ounce sinker, snapper lead, up to maybe a 32, which is that one before. So it needs to be bigger than a 16. There are days you can use a 16. You can definitely use a 16 on those two lighter rods, but not so much on the bigger deep drop rods. It won't get down. It'll get down, but it'll be out too far. And I'll teach you a bit later. It's all about keeping your lines pretty well vertical, okay, and slack, a little bit slack. S-Tackle, great sinkers. These are lead and the Lumo, whatever. That's a 1 kilo one. So they do a 1 kilo one, and that one suits the pearly grounds as well, up to about 140 metres, 150 metres. And we do use the 1 kilo out in about 240 to even, or 220 to about 260 for flamies and stuff. But if it's a little bit of an incline out the back, we'll chuck a 2 kilo one on, which you've all got in your bag. That's probably the most popular sinker you use for catching flamies, bar cod, and all that sort of stuff. They're quite expensive because they're lead. And lead's expensive if you buy lead, you know what I mean? But they're a great product. Sort of $30 a pop. Now, S-Tackle has put one of those in your bags too, by the way. Okay. They also do a 3 kilo one, which is the big one. That's what we're going to use out in that 400 to 600 metre line. And you can even sometimes we put 2 of these on. The beauty about your deep electric reels is they don't care what size sinker's on there. We do when we're winding it up, right? They don't. So put more on if you want. Just put it on, make it heavy. And it works much better because your line goes boom on the bottom and you get that nice bit of slack and you get a lot more bites. If you put too less a sinker on and you use it electric, you're crazy because it's got out the back and it's floaty, it's not getting the bottom and you can hardly feel the bites. Just whack the sinkers on, put 2 on, put 3 on, whatever. Get it down there. Does that all make sense? Okay, good. Good. Okay, a lot of people ask me about this. I'm doing the rigs. We'll work away up the ladder here. In this, you know how you have like you have a big swivel at the top, so like a quality swivel which you got in your bag as well. 100-pound breaking strain, 200-pound, and then you'll come down maybe half a metre, and you'll have a 3-way swivel. There's 2 ways of doing it. One is the one that's called an inline 3-way swivel, so it has a tube pipe, and this is if you're making your own up. And when you set it, you sort of set them about a metre apart. Don't run them too close because the fish are average about a metre long. So you don't want to have them slapping each other in the head. So I run mine about around 750 to a metre apart. And the inline one, what you do is it's just like a tube. I'll pass this around while I'm talking about it. It's a tube and you crimp it with a set of mono crimping pliers. So those of you who rig up your own marlin lures or whatever, you use the mono crimping pliers, which is like an electrical plier, just the holes in it, not the teeth. And what it does, you got to get the right size to suit your main line. That's the dropper line. The main line, sorry. And you put a little sacrifice piece about probably 30 mil long in the tube as well with it. So the 2 crimp together. If you try and just crimp the one piece of line, which is your main line, first thing is it slips on a big fish on it. It'll always slip. And second thing is you're damaging the main line. You're actually bruising it to make it squeeze onto it. So make sure you put a sacrifice little piece of line in there with it. Does that make sense? Okay. The other way is what we call a 3-way crane swivel, which is like a crane swivel with another crane swivel hanging off it. And they are probably more popular because they don't slip. But you got crimp, 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 so you've got to do a bit more work on it, right? But they work really well as well. Thank you. Yeah. Any questions on that so far? Okay. So we've now got our main line. We spaced out the 3 dropper things. I use 3. Look, if I'm chasing, lately this is something we've done differently, right, guys? We chase those little ornates, which are now getting slightly bigger. If you've done a bit of deep dropping, you understand they were that big. Now they're about that big. They're so good to eat. They're only small, but there's like the locust of the bottom out there, okay? so to speak. And if you use a smaller version, I think you got some 5.0 hooks in your bags. But they're called a mutsu hook, so they're like a little circle hook, fairly small. Now that little hook will still hold a 30-kilo barcode, definitely flame snapper, but it'll hook those little ornates a lot better. So you make.
With the decomposing
Mm.
are you running your breakaway?
100%. Yeah, so good call. So at the bottom, so we've got another swivel down the bottom. So we've got swivel at the top now. We've got our 3 droppers, but in the ornate version, we've got 5 droppers, or 6 if you want. I don't know about, how much in New South Wales can you have? How many hooks on the line?
I think it's 3.
3. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, so.
We're dropping at 6.
Yeah, 6. And it's electric. It's electric reel. Let's push the button, okay? So, and then at the bottom you have another swivel. It doesn't need to be as strong, but a fairly decent swivel. And then I run about 80-pound or 100-pound breakaway. So it's nearly that. My main line on my, like that rig you got in there, that's the lightest I'll ever use, 130. Okay, or 120 maybe. But my branch lines, in particularly for flamies, smaller barcode, whatever, is only about 100 or 120 max, 130 max. But on that rig you got there, which we do in the shop, that's UV leader. It's 130 and 130. Okay, but it's very thin and very supple for 130. Thank you. What I'll do, guys, I'll give you a basket, mate, if you don't mind. Just keep that down the back there. If you can throw it in there, that'd be great. Thank you, sir. So getting back to what you said about the sinker. So from the bottom swivel to the sinker, I run about 1.5 meters. So fairly long. A couple of reasons. One is I believe the fish are a bit high off the bottom. They always are. They'll come down to your line, and there'll be the odd ones on the bottom, but keep it away from the rocks or whatever's down there. The second thing is when you pulling that big fish in, the last one that might be on the string, when you gaff it or whatever, your sinker's still below the side of the boat, so it's not banging inside the boat. You're trying to lift the fish in, and they scratch your boat up. So keep it down there. The only hard part is it's actually, if you're using electrics, put a set of gloves on, quite thin gloves, and when you grab the line, it doesn't cut your hands or hurt your hands as bad. Because lifting up 2 kilos of lead's quite awkward. It's hard to grip it. You've got to do a wrap on it, sort of thing, as you pull it up. Okay, does that all make sense? Okay, cool. So we've got our three-way swivels, and then we run our branches. Our branches can be anywhere from about 200 mil to about, some guys run long ones, like 350, 400 mil, 450 mil long. I like it around about probably 250 to 300, and put a lot of Lumo stuff on. So Lumo tube, Lumo beads, whatever. The beads always before the hook, the tube's on first, closest to the swivel. You can get super beads. These are most glow beads, most glow producing bead that lasts the longest with glow as well. It doesn't just pop out in about 2 minutes. It stays glowing forever. I'm going to put those with your hand, have a look, you see what I mean? And I'll give you normal glow beads, put those with your hand, you see what I mean? Thank you. They are really, really bright. And then you can run things like little glow squids last. So tube, bead, squid. Or you can have tube, squid, bead. That stops the squid from falling off then. They come in all different array of colours, styles, types, whatever. All different types, yeah. I think actually the whiter ones would glow the most. But so try and keep your squid or the hard squids no bigger than about 100 mil, even smaller. So the ones we use on that rig in your bags, they're a Lumo blue. Are they? Okay, some you got Lumo blue, some you got the Lumo. The Lumo blue is like the white colour one, and then the other ones are there's a mix up in the bag. Sorry guys, but they're very thin and very petite. And we find if we use a big one like that type there, we don't get as many pearlies on it for some reason. But if you use a smaller squid skirt, that's Lumo, we get a lot more squid. Does that make sense? I don't know what it is, mate. They're just like, even that size there is sort of borderline big. Yeah, mate. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, same as in the rig there. Yeah, yeah. So is that all good so far? Yeah, we are. Yeah, just on the line, and then the bead under it. or the bead above it in that little. It's sort of, if it makes sense, probably that size there and bigger. The bead goes under it. Above a small natter goes above it. Yeah. Correct, mate. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And do you use any like little wipes or anything?
Yeah, I do. Come into that right now. So we've got now done all that. Now we come to our hooks style. Look, in your hooks, there's all different types, but the most popular hook that we like to use is about an 8.0 or a 9.0, but in a little circle. So if you get like a mustard, it's called 39960. Their 9.0 is like quite a big hook, like quite huge. And in other brands, even even the Shinto, say, or BKKs or whatever, 9.0 is about 3 times the size of that 9.0. But that's really, really strong hook. You've got those in your bag too. The 8.0s and 9.0s, both are good. Actually, that might be an 8, sorry. That is an 8. But that'll catch flamies, ornates, and kite up to about probably 40 kilos, 50 kilo. Does everything. So don't go too big in the hooks. And you might have heard the story before. Now, I'll tell you real quick. For many years, we were told about flame snapper out here by a mate of mine who fishes up north, game fisherman, Russell Gage. He said there's flames out here, showed me photos. I thought he's fished up in Cairns all the time. So do get them up there. And then try and tell me he couldn't off the Gold Coast. I didn't believe him for many years. This is back in like 2005 or 6. And then at about 2012 or something, he said to me, Dougie, they're out the front here. I keep telling you. I don't know about that. We'll catch a blue eye and bark on that sort of stuff. And then he said, look, Scout Point lookout area, 280 metres deep, and you'll find them. So we went up there for many years, for another 3 years to 2014 or 15. And but we were using big hooks. We were using like the big 10-0s and 12-0s and 15-0s, catching the cods and stuff. And it wasn't until one time we were fishing for pearlies, and I saw the rig on my electric, and we were heading out there looking again. We catch these cod, and it's a really good area and good shows on the sounder. And then I just had my pearl rig on. I dropped down while I was waiting to get my other rig unwrapping out of the bag, and the rod bounced. And then I thought I got something on here, so I pushed the button, wound up. It was only a little flamey, but it was a flamey. And then we didn't know it was the hook size that was the reason. We thought, oh, we've got a flamey there here, you know. So we dropped it. We put our big rigs on, took that one off. Nothing. I thought, oh, no flamies. It was a lost one, you know, but they are here. So we're a bit excited. And then I think we did the same again, maybe about 2 or 3 trips later. Had little hooks on again, got another one. So then we realised it's the hook size. The mouths are not that big.
So it's not the ground, like you're not looking at different ground, you're just...
No, changing the rig essentially.
Yeah, okay.
So anywhere between 220 and, we call it now about 380. No, I'm selling the dream, brother. I'm selling the dream. 220 to 400, I think 420 or 380, I can't remember now, is the deepest we caught flamies.
Yeah.
So they're in that depth everywhere if you can find okay, here's the deal. They're not on soft bottom, not on mud, they're on hard bottom.
Yeah.
And they tend to look like a bait school on the bottom. So I'll talk about that a bit later, but they ball up in a big red ball. The more red it is, the more flamies. Okay. And generally, if you get a ball that's, say, 30 minutes off the bottom, it's just sitting there, or 20 minutes off the bottom, not doing much, you will catch them.
Yeah,
but when
I look at it like 200, I'm thinking kingies. So
yeah, that's right. And believe it or not, you get same sort of ball, and you get king. Yeah. Well, we catch flamies on the same string. We'll get kingies. Yeah. We get kingies out to about 280. We get snapper out to 280. So you get all the normal stuff as well. Except we don't get. I've never caught pearlies over 140 something meters. I don't know. Has anyone caught pearl perch over 140 meters yet? Yeah. You have you? Had 150, mate? Yeah. Yeah, maybe maybe we're close to 150, but that would be about our extreme. Yeah. But they exist there because they've got big eyes, and obviously they're a deep water fish, right? But they just got to find where they are. Anyhow, getting back to the flamies, so then we then rigged up smaller hooks and just smashed them, and it's been smashing them ever since.
What are you using for bait?
Mullet fillets are by far the best. Yeah, mullet fillets. Yeah, so I'll come to that in a minute. I'll keep going through the gear, then I'll get to that. So, okay. UV leader. This is UV leader. I've got my UV torch here. Masako, if you're watching, can you bring my UV torch up, please? She'll bring it up in a minute. There's a slight delay in it. But the UV leader is how they see the line. We can't see it, but they can see it, supposedly. And now you can get UV lights, which we'll talk about lights in a moment, but you can get UV lights that hang off your line that make the UV even more visible for the fish, apparently. It makes us see the UV then. So what does UV line do? It acts like, I guess, like a barber's pole. You know, it's going to be, oh, here comes my UV torch. Thanks, Jack. Cheers.
Good to see he's watching.
Yeah. Time it. Thank you. So, Jack, just turn that light up for a second, mate. Thank you. Let's hope for this fucking light here. So, can you see how that lights up so much? Okay. So, and if I just get normal line, oh, there's a bit of line here. Yeah. Sorry, Jack. Well prepared here. Oh, that'll do. It's a lead off a lure. But if you turn light again, mate, and I put the UV torch on it, oh, that's when there's UV, and the other one's not. Can you see that, the difference there? So UV lights up, and UV torch charges everything as well, by the way, out there. But it's how it's perceived by the fish. Thanks, Jack. So UV lead is really good. It's very supple, very thin for its size. It's made in Japan. It's very good. Okay, so we've now got all our rig done. And what size sinker do we use? So you need to do a blind drift. Blind drift is two good reasons. One is you see which way you're moving in relation to the current and the wind and which way to drop your line. Remember, you're in 200 metres deep minimum if you're out, say, a bit deeper, or 280, 300. And it's going to take you a couple of minutes, maybe even 2 or 3 to get down to the bottom. And if you just pull up on the fish and drop down, you're going to be way past the fish by the time it hits the bottom. So it's like landing a parachute onto X. You need to practice that. So you'll need to see which way you're drifting. And sometimes you can be drifting, you think, okay, the wind's blowing this way, it's 15 knots. I'll go up against the wind and come back down to the wind. But sometimes the current's stronger than the wind and you're actually drifting against the wind. And you can't believe that, but until you look at GPS and see how the track's going against the wind. Yeah, it does, mate. It does. So you've got to do that blind drift. And at the same time, it's not a bad idea at that time because the electric wheel, just drop it down, can pull itself up, and just test your sinker. If your sinker's way out the back and it's the way you're drifting, you're not actually on the spot, but just let it out and see how it goes. And if it's not hitting the bottom or it's too hard, you got to back up into the current or wind or whatever, up the ante to a bigger sinker.
Realistically, if your sinker's sitting still underneath the way you're drifting, you've got enough weight.
Perfect. That's right, mate. Yep. So then you go back up to the spot and allocate the distance you're going to drift back before you land on the spot, and that's where you start. And then the second drift is probably different to the first drift because it always is. Wind changes, the current moves, whatever it might be. Boat swings around the other way a bit. You reversed a bit off to the left, and then it's swung around like that. It's all about getting it all set right. Okay. But we get back to the rig. I've not finished the rig yet. So at the top of the rig, before you put your rig on, I run a wind-on leader. Okay, you've got one of those in your bag too. 150 pound for deep dropping is about the average size, which you can use from pearlies through to blue eye. It's a good all-round size. In the old days, we used to use 300 and 400 pound. You don't need that heavy. It drags the water too much. The bigger sinkers, it's a pain. So 100 in those little rods, we're running like the 60 pound or 80 pound, and for anything up to about probably 20 kilos, it's enough. Okay, but 150 is a good one for most of your outfits. And then at the top of that, at the bottom of that. So if you don't know how to put a wind-on leader on, you do a little bimini twist. Does anyone not know how to do bimini twist? Just don't be shy. But it's easy to do. If you just jump onto YouTube, the YouTube things are so good these days. You can learn pretty well everything off YouTube. And if you do that little bimini twist, keep it short. It's very short, and it's loop to loop through, like cats pull it through and through and through and through and through, and then pull it down to the end. So it's a tight little join, and then there's no knots through your guides. It's nice. It goes out nice and easy, comes in nice and easy. doesn't get stuck on the way. If you do an FG, it's not too bad. Depends on how good the FG is and how big your tag is sticking out. Sometimes it gets pulled out a bit at the end, and it gets stuck in the guides. So this is more neater, but FGs are fine too on most rods.
Do you ever use a plate?
You can do a plait on the if on braid. You shouldn't use a plait. You should use a bimini twist on to make the little like that sort of little loop on the end, double. Sorry. But if you use the mono and won't use in braid, then you do a plait. But for deep dropping, my suggestion is to never use mono as your main line. Sorry, your main line. The old days you did because there's no braid. Yeah, on the winches we used to use a mono. Yeah, that's right. That's how it was back in the day, mate. Yeah, that's right. So okay, so at the end of that wind on leader, we put a big snap swivel, which you got in your bag as well. So I run like a 6 or 7 size snap on the end. It's plenty strong enough. So you got to remember, somewhere there's the weakest link, right? Whether it be your leader or your crimping that you've done on the line, you've damaged the line, or the snap swivel's not strong enough, you use a cheap snap swivel, whatever it may be. When you get a big fish on, something always gives, or your rod breaks, or something like that. But hopefully if you get it all right, it's perfect. So try and get everything right, really important. When you crimp too, when you crimp a mono crimp onto your leader, if you're going to make your own leaders up, as I said, you use the crimpers with a hole in it, which is like this style. I'll just pass that around. What you got to do is it's aluminium crimps that you're using, not copper or not brass or anything. It's aluminium, the silver ones. You've got to start about like 1 mil or half a mil in from the end of the crimp, and that leaves a flare so it doesn't cut into your line. If you crimp the end, it will cut the line and damage the line. Maybe just a micro bit, but when you get that big fish on, that's what's going to break right there. So just remember to come in a bit both ends when you crimp it. Yeah, you can do that too. Just correct, right? Yeah, so you can do that as well. Actually, that little tool there, it has a little on the end there, a little zapper. Yeah, also known as a taser. See that? Yeah, and you just do that. Oh, it definitely does. My staff are chasing around the shop all day long with that thing, especially Stewie and Jack. Yeah. Anyhow, so we've done that, and we talked about braid. Just about braid. I talked about the rod. Go back reverse way now. We've done the whole rig. The braid on your line. If you're using small reels, try and get line that's fairly thin, so you get more line on there. So you'll get 350 or 400 meters instead of 250 meters or 200 meters. Because otherwise, if you use a thicker braid, like say just a standard J braid or a whatever, or even something a Tasline. Tasline is great stuff. Great, I love it. Good product, but it's not really made for deep dropping. So like 60 pound is 0.42, and then we get a deep dropping line like this one here. This is 0.43, so it's identical nearly, and it is. Oh, sorry.
Based on number of strands?
They're both 8 strand. No, it's based on using different material. So this is actually 0.35, so it's actually a fair bit thinner. It's 20% thinner, nearly, and it's 80 pound. So 80 versus 60, 20% thinner. You know what I'm trying to say? So you get a lot more line capacity. You'll get probably another 30% line capacity. But just as an example, but don't get me wrong, Tasline is a great line. Anyhow, getting back to our hook rig. So we've done the hook. So the two other types of hooks you can use, guys, on those little droppers is like gang hooks, like 2 gang hooks. Has anyone done snelled or two gang hooks for deep dropping? On mullet fillets, it is the ultimate. And it's not a circle style, it's a J style, so normal hook. But that style or that style or whatever it may be. Yeah, True Turn 2 hooks are fine. They're fine as well. And really, really good on mullet fillets and pillies. But trouble with pillies are great bait, but when you're dropping all that way down, they may get ripped off by the speed of the sinker going through the water. And especially they start spinning, I just get pulled off because that's sonic speed going down. The next thing is it's a one bite wonder, right? You either got to get the fish or you got to miss it. They're not going to come back because there's nothing there to come back to. So what I do is I put not so much on that hook, but on those circle hooks that went around. I cut the pilly in half and I put it through the eye of the pilly, the circle hook, and then I put a piece of mullet fillet on or a piece of squid. But I only go through, the mullet fillet's about the size of 2 fingers, okay? Cut about that width and about that length. Does that make sense? So the mullet fillet, which is like that shape, just cut it like that, dum, 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 dum. You get about,
Your ideal bait.
yeah, 5. You get 5 pieces in the tail section, right? And I only go through one time. I don't go through, thread it on, because you want that hook exposed. And too many people put too big a bait on too small a hook, and you'll get bang, 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 but you won't get the hookups. Keep the hook exposed as much as you can. And if the fish pulls the bait off, they pull it off, but at least you're going to get the fish most of the time, rather than just getting pecks and bites and not catching. The 2 hook rigs, though, they catch. So again, not too much bait, just enough. 2 hooks through the mullet fillet, or you might want to put a pilly on. I wouldn't. I just put 1 mullet fillet on. The reason I put the pilly on the other one is when they bite it, they squash it up. Their mates come in, you might get a second bite. Okay, does that all make sense? Bonito's fine too, as long as if you actually, believe it or not, Peter, unless it's fresh, if you buy it frozen, you have to salt it, because the flesh will pull off the hook on the way down, I think.
Salted the night before?
Yeah, salt the night before is fine. Yeah, hang it up. Hang it up to drip, actually, if you salt it. So if you get a bonito and want to use the bait, use it as bait, just put salt onto actually the flesh side, okay? And then hang it up to drip. And all the oil will come out of it and it'll shrivel. If you lay it flat, it doesn't work as good. It's going to hang it up. Yeah, no, that's right. That's right. So I'm talking about if you get a fresh one. Frozen one, buy the ones that are pre-salted, which we do have, I think. Yeah. Yeah.
Just so having to catch heaps of them at the moment.
Yeah, if you catch it, fill it and salt it, mate, and hang it up to dry. Overnight.
Hang those up overnight in the kitchen.
And off the clothesline hoist. With pegs. But those pegs are strictly for baits only, okay? So mullet fillet, same too if you want. Yeah. I don't need to. The mullet's a bit tougher, but sometimes when you buy the mullet fillets, they're not that good. They do fall apart as well. Yeah. And you have to cut the skin tag off. Have a good pair of shears or cutters, scissors. There's some of the prizes actually. But cut every little bit of skin off every time before you rebait. If you build it up, it doesn't hook. The hookup rate fails badly because you get too much build up and they can't hook up. So cut it off, trim off to bare, hook back in, put it on again. Is that all good? Okay, cool.
Yeah, 16 sure.
So I'm just going to talk about pre-made rigs now before we go into the fishing side. So on pearlies, these things are magic. I always use these on the flamies too, by the way. These are a 7.0 circle hook, BKK hook on a Shinto rig. 80-pound fluorocarbon leader and branch is only 50, but for pearlies it's fine. And they're 2-hook rig, and there's a swivel. There's 2 lots of 2 in the packet, and they're like, you guys buy them for about $12, $13 or something. But I joined the rig, the 2 together. So I cut the swivel off and tied onto the other swivel. So I cut the sinker dropper on the bottom off and tie it to the swivel. So then I got 4 hooks. So New South Wales, you might have to go on off. But yeah, that's exactly right, matey. That's right. I'll just pass these around. Get your mate to drive up.
They're the same as the old phase.
They're like the old flasher rigs from New Zealand that Black Magic used to do, but a more modern version, so to speak.
The old Fraser flashes.
Oh, yep.
I picked up a hole in them. They weren't trade.
Yeah,
You can't buy them.
Yeah, no, try these. These are good, mate. These are good.
$5 each.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Bargains. Grab them all. Yeah.
Yeah.
So next thing, we have got pre-made rigs like this type of thing. So this is a 3-hook rig, which is suitable for everyone. These are 9.0s, 150-pound branch, 200 main. So I've used that on flamies to blue eye. It's strong enough. Again, it's got Lumo tube on there, and they are swivel on swivels, which is really good. So those sort of rigs are around about what's the price of that? 30, 29. Yeah, 29. So about $20 for you guys. Then you get more sophisticated rigs like this one here. This is 300-pound main and 150 branch. That one's going to be used more for barcod, bass groper, and blue eye, and it's plenty strong enough. So you don't need more than 150. Those things got munchy teeth, but they'll rasp, but you rarely ever lose a fish on 150-pound branch line. 300s in case you get 80-kilo bass groper on there, maybe as the main. But yeah, that sort of thing. They're a little bit dearer, about $27 or something. Your price. And then you get the custom rigs, which we do in the store here. So you got one of those in your bag. That's the glow blue one there. And then as we go a bit bigger, this is the next one. It's got one big squid and two normal ones, but they're on about a traditional 10.0, I think it is. Traditional 10.0, so it's about double the size of the 8.0 in the other hooks that we're talking about, if that makes sense. And then this is the biggest one again. This 300-pound main and 300-pound branch. That fellow is just strictly for big fish, whatever it may be. And that's on a 15.0, I think. 15.0, yeah. I'll pass those around as well. The reason why they're 25 to 35, $40 is because they take us about 20 minutes to make one. So they take a while.
Can you get flaming on a jig?
Yeah, you can.
What sort of jig are you
Well, we're using about, it depends on the depth. So we're in, say, 250 meters or 280. Generally around about the lightest, everyone uses a very light line, mate. Like we're using like Ocean Jigger 2000.
So you wouldn't be running like a slow pitch jig, it'd be more of a knife jig.
Yeah, a bit of a knife jig, that's right. Or a hybrid type thing.
You want one of those thicker styles, hey? Like,
Yeah.
they're not so long, yeah.
Oh, no.
Those knives get huge.
Yeah, no, you want knives, but they're a thick knife.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Yeah, thick knife.
Yeah,
Not the long skinny ones, no.
Not those 600 bikinis.
But we're running about sort of at a minimum 300 on P2 braid, on a P3 braid around 300 to 400 gram, and P4 braid around about 500 to 700 gram. Yeah, it all depends on the weight. And barcod are easy to catch some flamies. But the other day up on the reef, we caught heaps on the jigs. Yeah. And then the last thing I want to show you about your rigs is these bad boys. So the luxury of having a sat swivel is you can put things on it, right? So we're going to use lights like this type of thing, which we just put onto the sat swivel, and then we put on our swivel off the main rig onto the sat swivel. And if you really want to go all the way, you can put something like that with a short bit of leader, about 120 pound, whatever, off it, just a short one, and put another swivel on the top of it, and then put that onto your snap as well. So that hangs off the top of the rig. Does that make sense? And that one I'm running like a slimy on it, or a little bonito for a little bonito, or a half a mullet fillet in a strip lengthwise.
Still about 2 inches.
Only about 150 mil leader, so quite short. But about 2 inches by the length, yeah, mate. Yeah, that's right.
What colour lights do you reckon the best?
I like blue. I used to use green all the time, and then I used to use the disco one, which is that one there, which is all different colours. But I love blue. Blue is my go-to. Okay. The disco one works all the time, actually. I think the darkness disappears at about.
Yes. 2 a.m. boys, we're out disco lights. Let's go.
See the disco colour on the back, right? So, oh great, it's not working. They're water activated. For those who don't know how lights work, they're water activated. So, except for this one. Should have checked first, right? So, can you all see that working there? So that's a blue one. And I like a constant light now. I don't like the flashing light so much. So I use a constant blue on my line. That's how it looks all the time. No, that's just sitting on the snap swivel.
On snaps.
On the snap swivel. So that goes on first before anything else goes on my snap. Correct. Correct.
So can I ask a question about these
Yes.
bad boys?
Yes.
They're on the snap swivel.
They're on the snap swivel as well. But I run a little bit of line along above it, Pete, with another swivel above that, and then I put the swivel on the snap. So it's just sort of a bit loose on the top.
Sorry, say that again.
So it looks like it'll look like this. So I'll just draw it out the other way. But that's the three gangs, and you got the dress on there, the thing, and then it's got a swivel here as well. Then I run about 100 mil there. Oops, sorry. And then I put about a size 1 crane swivel on it, and that goes through the snap. If that makes sense.
Okay.
And the lights hanging off there as well, and my rig's hanging off there as well, going down.
150 mil above the baits on that same snap.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, or wherever it may be on those dropper rigs. Yeah.
Are you still putting 3 on your main line on that?
Yeah. So I got 4. But I just find that bigger bait at the top. It's the snap's strong. It's independent to the other main line, so you can have that fish hanging off that plus the other ones.
So you just have like a light on each.
Yeah.
Each one.
One light. One light at the top. So to me, guys, I think about it. It takes you, I don't know if you guys know this, but if those are deep drop, you should know, but it takes about 20 minutes to do a drop in, say, around 250 metres. By the time you drop down, hook a fish up even straight away, and then wind it up, there's 20 minutes gone. And if you're fishing in like 300 to 400 metres, it's around about half an hour. And that's the quickest you can operate, and that's getting a bite straight away. But if you've got drift time, waiting for a bite, it can be up to nearly an hour before you actually pull the line back up again. Oh, you get the line to the top, sorry. If you've got a fish on, add another 10 minutes to that again, getting it up. So I don't have time to have just 2 hooks on my line. Okay, and the day goes quick, and next minute the wind's blowing its ass off, annoying the crap out of me because I've just only had 5 drops. So I put more hooks on and make the reels work harder. And that's how you get more fish. Okay? Try it.
Yeah.
See you go.
Very nice.
Yeah. Now, green eyes, we haven't got to there yet. Yeah, I know. That's dead. Anyhow. So we've got everyone understand the rigging up now. All good? Okay. Now, let's just use, say, the Force Master. Let's just say we're out in... we'll start on the pearlies, actually, sorry. Okay, I'm pearly fishing. Well, actually, I'll use this one. Pearly fishing this one. So I've got on that rig that you guys got in your bag, and I've got on maybe that size sinker on this one because it's quite thin line, so I don't need too big a sinker compared to other lines, right? It's half the thickness of that 80-pound braid. And I've marked the sounder. You better do that first. Who's had a really good session on pearl perch where you've got your bags on it pretty quick and big ones? Good. So you'll all know, or those guys will know, but when you're catching pearlies, you've got like 3 drifts maximum on that sort of one area, on that school, before they sort of wise up or they go, or you drop 1 or 2 because pearlies fall off quite easy, and they tell their mates and then it's all over. So you got to either move a bit wider or you move just on a bit. But there's wireweed out there everywhere, like there are flame snapper. It's everywhere. You just got to find it, and you got to zoom in a bit. Wireweed's one of those things where you don't run any more than about a 15-metre window at the bottom, 20-metre max. Okay, 10 metres better. So when you're on this sounder, sorry for those guys behind me. Oops, sorry. Can you all see that okay? Is that all right? I'll try and change. It's not a very good one. And let's just say, I'll put on full screen zoom. So I'm looking between, let's say, 100 and 120 metres. And the bottoms, as I head directly east, it's starting to taper down, right? And I might have gone, I don't know, 1 kilometre. And it's gone from 100 metres and slowly going down to 120. Now, there may be a little bump like that on the way down, if a little bit of stuff on it. I'm going to mark that straight away, okay? But if there's none of that, and it's tapering down like that, what I'm hoping to see is a bit of yellow or green fuzz somewhere on that zoom section, like so, with maybe a couple little dots around it. And that's how wireweed sort of looks if you're going west to east. Now, when I go back next run, I've marked that. And now that spot was in about 110 meters. And my bottom now, sorry, wrong one. Black one. The bottom now looks pretty well like that. There might be a little bump there, whatever it was. Couple. But my wireweed is now quite prominent and standing out in that depth. Might be a bit of a gap there. It's around here. And all of a sudden, I'm starting to see a few dots appearing, a couple up here, whatever it may be, like so. Okay, now on the first drift that you do, so now we're going to go to the GPS. I'm going to go this way. Over here. If you've got the luxury of 2 screens, you're very lucky. But let's just say that there is here, and that one there's here. As I always say, most of the time the wind blows northwest in winter, northwest or southwest, either or, to southeast. And most of the time our drift is slightly in that angle. But I know that in that depth when I'm running north-south now, running north-south here, right, in that 110 metre mark, it's saying 110 over here on the depth, and that's in the area there. I know that it's going to be north-south. I can go maybe 300 metres up before the wireweed disappears in that spot, or 400 metres, say. So it's a fairly long drift. But I don't know how wide it is really. I know that I got some on that rundown. So I might do a bit of a zigzag, or I'll just do a drift down through this area here, across this here. And then the next drift, I'll come around, I'll just go a little bit wider and I'll come down again. I don't normally do, even though I might have done really good in that first drift, I'll try not to do the next drift on the same line. I'll go across about 100 meters, whatever. And then I'll come back around and do a drift down this side then. And it's the third drift I do back on the same original run.
Is that tracking the width of what the wireweed is?
No, hoping it's going to be wide. Well, you'll see, if you see that similar thing again over here, obviously the wireweed's east-west as well, 100 meters or something.
Try and come back inside that.
Correct. But if you're not getting it on this run here, then obviously you do your next run. You do that run maybe a bit closer next time, but definitely not on the top of the first run. Yep. Does that all make sense? And after 3 runs, if those guys that have caught the pearlies, have you got more than 3 runs out of it? A good catch out of after 3 runs?
Yeah,
Still?
but following your advice,
Yep.
we've gone wider anyway.
Yeah. You're not doing
anything up to probably about 50 metres. But
Yeah.
off that track.
Yeah,
So
50 to 100 meters. That's right.
Even though you're always tempted to go on the same track,
I know.
I can't do it anyway.
No. Oh, you're not going to tell people that. And that's what I said earlier. Sorry? That's what I was saying earlier. It's very hard to get that same drift again anyhow. But because the boat moves or whatever happens, wherever it may be. But
You can zoom in more on your plot trail though.
yeah, you can, 100%. So that's really good idea. Is that you actually that might be just looking at on your little ledger down the bottom here. Like that might just be 100 meters. So that's like nearly 300 meters, whatever it may be, on your run down. So you work that hard, and then after about 3 drifts or maybe 4, hopefully you're bagged out by that time because you get pearlies 2 or 3 at a time. and then you go on to the next spot or whatever you're going to do. So we try this time of the year. Our golden rule is we try and bag out on pearlies on the way to the flamies. Okay, so it sounds good. That's true though. No, it's true. Anyhow, but sometimes we go there, and pearlies I find the best. I've done well early in the morning and done our limit by 7 o'clock, first 3 or 4 drifts. But a lot of time the pearlies bite midday, but the bottom deep dropping is best midday as well. And I think that you'll find as you get into the deep drop fishing, the more the sun's up, the better they bite. Okay, more than down dark.
That's what I hate fishing.
Yeah, no. Well, that's right. Normally, yeah. That is a problem though. The wind can come up by that time, so that's the problem. That's the downfall. Anyhow, it is what it is.
You don't spot lock at 100.
No way, no. Like I find with pearlies, they tend to like a drifting bait more than a stationary bait for some reason. And if you get no current, they're really hard to catch for some reason.
So you reckon just keeping yourself up and down, but covering that ground?
Yeah. So my motor's going the whole day,
Yeah,
and most of the time it's actually ticking over and reverse the whole day. Just ticking over.
I always try keeping my jig straight up and down. I cover a lot of ground.
Perfect. Yeah. So, and generally the current doesn't allow you to spot lock at most of the time in deep water anyhow, because by the time if you get a bit of current, even just a knot, but you're not fishing 20 or 30 minutes, you're fishing 130. By the time you're along, it's the bottom. It's a long way out in that current. It's too hard. So drift.
We've had pretty good success. That's what I was asking.
Yeah. Look, in 60 meters or 70 meters, maybe. Oh, have you? Okay, then that's good. Yeah. Don't change it. Keep doing it. Nah. Look, if you're on a little honey hole wireweed spot and you're not dropping the fish, I'd keep trying it. Take back what I just said. If you're fishing those containers, say off Morton, there's containers up there you might know. They hold a lot of pearlies. Has anyone fished the containers yet?
How deep?
About 160 to 180 meters, sort of thing. Off Morton. There's some on those marks, I think.
So
Yeah.
is
That doesn't say container though. Sorry.
Would that be like straight out? Is that like that?
Most of them are pretty well at the top end of Morton, and further up off sort of Caloundra, not quite that far. Yeah. So anyhow, but that's what I was relating to you. If you might be on one of those containers, that's a different story.
It's only at 100 meters. But
Yeah, wireweed. Yeah. Oh, Hutchies. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There's one wreck we fished there for Jewies and try and hold on that, but we'll just use a sea anchor.
We're pretty close to that flat up
Yeah.
there.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So is that all good? Everyone understand that? Okay, that's pearlies. So now when you're fishing for pearlies, and like all bottom fish, but it's a bit hard when you're fishing your electric reel out of a rod holder. You don't really hold the rod, but this one you can, right? Or if you're just using, say, you can use something like this, something like that. Okay, that's P3, I think, which is around 50 pound. That's P 3.5 on the Daiwa, which is 50 pound. Yeah.
I'm digging 200 twice. I've hooked fish, and they'll both make turn, and I've gone never again.
It's called persistence.
Never again.
That one.
I was going to hand it over.
That one there's P3. This one's P3.5. This one here is P3 as well. So anyhow, you can use something like that for pearlies in 140 meters. Like hand winding, 140 is fine. Yeah, 140. 140 is not too bad.
Anything sub 200 is all right.
Yeah, that's right.
Once you get over 200, it starts to really hurt.
So
See my little lumps?
So you want something's got a little bit of soft tip, so you can see pearlies. Pearlies are very delicate. They bite hard, but they're Sorry, guys. So with pearlies, they have super soft mouths, and their mouths are big. And when they come and spiral up, and if you ever caught pearlies and had your bottom hooks missing, it's because those blades cut it off. Those are two blades on the side of their head.
And
Okay.
nanny guy as well, they cut.
Nannies might do. Oh, you mean like Southern Nanny guy? Yeah, they probably do as well. But so I use a fairly soft tip, and so anyhow, you're drifting back. You got a bit of slack line out. I just try and keep the rod tip up, going with the swell, but keeping the weight on, just the weight on it, right? And you'll get dunk dunk dunk. And if you hook it, if you're using circle hooks, you can't really strike at it, right? They just hook themselves. And you got one on. Just always keep the rod tip up once you get the first fish on, and leave it up. And then as the swell goes down, you drop it down, but you're keeping the weight at the whole time. You can't let that one go slack because it'll fall off. Okay, so keep the weight the whole time. And then if it loads up, boom, when it loads up a bit more, then you got two on, so it's time to come up. And when you're winding up, you can pump and wind, but you got to do really slow. Don't go like crazy. Like if you've got shark problem, it's bad luck. You can't really pull pearlies fast to beat the shark.
It's like the Albanese government.
We'll keep going. So you've got to take, with pearlies, you've just got to take it. If you get it, you get it. If you get sharked, you get sharked. You can't do what you can with a snapper and other fish where you go hard. It doesn't work. Falls off. And you don't want pearlies to fall off because they talk to their mates and they stop biting. That's a definite. So just remember that. So does it all make sense? It's a big mouth. Okay, so any questions on the pearlies now? Is it all done? Areas to look. Look, if you're down off Tweed Way, I'd be looking anywhere sort of, I don't know, anyone from Brunswick Heads area? No. So if you fish down Tweed Heads area, I'd be looking anywhere from sort of, as far down as you want to go, be probably in from deep dropping as well. Probably about off Windara at the most, because that's about a 40k run down if you're going out wide sort of thing. Okay. And I start the pearlies in about that 100, 120 metre mark. And then I go from there out a bit further, which is not far for you guys. You're going to go 3k and you expect in like 200 metres. It's very close for you. So I then fish that. There's a gutter down there. It's on that GPS mark as well. We gutter down the gutter like a snake. Fish in there for snapper and kingies, whatever. And then from there, it's like a 1k out. And then you're in 350 metres and you can fish for barcod and stuff. And then
some of those marks New South Wales as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then go half k from there in 500 and go blue eye. So the beauty of lookout and down off Tweed is it's very close. The contour is like that, like from 130 to 500 is probably about 6k. Yeah, there you go. Exactly right. Yeah, exactly. Where out here, to go from 100 metres to 500, we're going to get another 20k. Okay. I love it. But yeah, it's pretty good. you gotta suss it out though. As a fishing that is. Canyons are good at the moment. Yeah. Oh yeah, they are. Yeah, is that right?
Oh,
No.
I don't know. I've got a mate that went out there on Monday.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I don't know. He reckons they're pretty hard.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So Flame is down south. If you're down Tweed, and you guys know where they are maybe, but the spots I hear is like at about 2808 to 2810, which is sort of off Kira, so to speak, or Point Danger, in about 220 to about 280 meters, that area. But once you get to 300, you're chasing barcod and stuff like that. You get barcod in 220 though. For you, those of you chasing pearlies in 100 to 150 meters, you get a lot of little barcod with the odd big barcod, and there are big barcod there that are sort of like that 30 kilos. They'll grab your pearlies as well. While you're trying to get that second one on, all of a sudden you get a big one on. That's a big cod grabbing your pearlie that's sitting in your line waiting for the next guy to jump on. Yeah. 2 for 1.
2 for 1.
That's it. So that's what I'm going to tell you about pearlies, I think. That's it. Let's go and do it. Pillies and squid, best bait by far. And, yeah, and I don't mind running gang hooks like 3.40s or 3.50s, sorry, or even 3.60s. 3.60s you can't use swivels; it's too big on the pilly. 3.50s you're borderline unless it's a big pillies. Yeah, they're good because they're shorter hooks. They're shorter hooks. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they're 2 hook rigs. They'll work as well. Yep.
Tree zones the same.
Yeah, same deal, mate. Yep. So run those, and I run sometimes 3 gangs. So if I make my own rigs up, I'll run the pillies. Even though it's a one-hit wonder, but on a gang hook you do get more than one bite out of it. Single hook you won't, but a gang hook you will. That makes sense. Any questions on that? Okay. With pearlies, no, a bit closer, maybe just 400 or 300 is all right. Yep.
Dougie, just a quick one. I catch a lot of pearlies where I fish, and I just use a single hook. But it's hard because, like, I don't know, the bag limit in Queensland, New South Wales, you're only allowed 5, I think.
We'll have 4.
You're only allowed 4.
4.
I generally fish by myself, so I'm buggered after.
2 drifts.
So sometimes I'll have to rotate, go, I'll throw the 40s back, I'll keep the 50s,
Yeah.
60s.
So-
I don't get much.
Yeah.
But I don't use a single hook, but I do use a small electric to get them up quick.
Yep.
And then I'll move on to
Yep,
something
yep.
else. But with the gangs, I wonder if I could pull them up quicker because they may be.
Yeah, the gangs you can pull them up quicker.
I definitely
So-
find with pearlies, if you use a bigger bait, you get a bigger fish.
Mm.
Like a bigger reed, bigger fish.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yes.
Probably one of the ones that are probably
Yeah,
more gang.
That's what I love, that like little slimies or pillies
Yeah,
on a
like
gang,
butterfly.
they work
Yeah,
really good.
Those L-cap
Yeah.
gangs, butterfly, they're perfect.
Yes. So yeah, they're good too. Live bait's good for them as well. So, but we love slow pitching for pearlies. That's another story. But we're getting back to what you're saying. Definitely, you can, if you got gangs, you can get them up. They don't fall off, which is another good thing about using gang hooks. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we'll move out of pearlies. Now we're heading out deeper. So between about 140, 150 and 230, say 220, there's not much. If you find somewhere that's in that 180 or 200 metre mark and you've got a spot, keep it to yourself because they're hard to find. We've looked everywhere. Very hard to find. It's just, we have like runs, you get 24 fathom, 36, 50 fathom on the shelf. They're all seams of rock that run all the way up in a straight line pretty well. And that's how it works off the Gold Coast. And then it's the same out in the deeper water. We have wire weed with a bit of rubbly stuff in that sort of 130 metres, 120 metres, 150 metres, 160 maybe. And then there's nothing till we get to 220. Except down Tweed in that little snake, that's 200. I find that you're better off just going straight at the 220 metres and then start hunting again. So don't waste your time in between 220 and 140, say. Does that make sense? The same off Morton too, similar. So remember that. Now we're at 220 metres and we're zooming around, we're looking around and we're checking out some of the relief shading, and you'll find there are spots that come up 10 metres out there, but that's a big rise out in deep water in that 220 metre mark or 240, whatever. And there may be drops that drop down 20 metres, dropping down, but not a pinnacle that comes at 20 metres. And there are some marks on your navionics that will show like 220 up to like 160 that don't exist. Okay, it's all lies. And particularly up off near Lookout that way, there's a couple halfway up North Stradding. They're not true. We've looked for them and looked for them, and still can't find them. But we're driving on the top of it, but it doesn't show anything. Maybe they got buried, I don't know. So anyhow, so we're out in that deeper water. Now, how does it look on the bottom? I'll show you exactly how it looks. So we'll take out those little depths there. And this. So we're looking now between 200 and let's say 250. So it's 50 metres. I might have the other side zoomed in. And we're slowly stepping down. And then all of a sudden you'll get this little bit of a bump, like so. All right. And it might flatten out a little bit. And if it flattens out a bit, that's a good reef to drift because it's a long reef, right? And then it might have a bit more on it, and then I'll drop down maybe like that. So there's going to be fish, definitely.
What do you reckon it is, this hard rock?
Yeah, it's hard rock because you get snags on it. You can't move. Yeah, it got dings in it. That's right. Sometimes a lot of shells shit on the lead as well. Getting back to the wireweed with the pearl perch, I find that that's like gravel, like gravelly stuff. You get snagged up a bit, but you get more snagged up in the wireweed. So wireweed looks like that, right? That's wireweed. Okay, like a spring. And your line gets caught in here. You can generally pull it out, but it takes a bit to pull it out sometimes. But you rarely snap your line on it. Sometimes you pull up a piece of this. But that's what the pearlies live in. I meant to say before, there's the first bit of wireweed I showed a picture of. Can you hear me down the back okay? Yep. You'll see dots, a few dots. When you do that second drift, or the third drift back over the top of the same spot you went first drift, there'll be a lot more dots. They come up out of the wireweed. They live in amongst this shit. And they come out and there'll be fish everywhere. You're going, that wasn't on the first pass I did. They come out. So they live in there. But that's on like pebbles. And sometimes when you pull this up, it's got like a little rock attached to it, or a bit of coral. But out here, this is hard rock. Okay. So the dots will be, you'll have maybe a few dots here, maybe a bit on the side here as well, and a few down here maybe. But there may be, I haven't got a red texture here somewhere, but anyhow, there may be a red ball up here, or actually up here, like so, of fish, solid, at about, say, 215 metres. And that's generally going to be the flame snapper, the red. This comes out red like a bait ball, but that's how the flamies look. Obviously, probably bait down there as well. I've never dropped a bait jig down to find out. And sometimes we'll pull up a big squid on our baits, especially 2-hook gangs, we'll catch them occasionally. But if you get that there, say here, it's up here, up fairly high, up fairly high up here, and it tapers down like that, that's when they're really on the chew. Okay, so when they're just sitting up here, you'll get the odd ones drifting through them. And a lot of guys will think, oh, I want my line up to where they are. And that doesn't work. You got to actually drag your line across the bottom, and they'll come down to it. But when you get it coming down to like that, they're actively feeding pretty hard, and you're going to get them easy. Does that make sense?
On small hooks.
Oh, the small hooks, yes. Oh, well, yeah, no, that's for the ornates. These are 8Os, but little 8Os, or 9Os. Does that all make sense? And just mark that on the GPS where that is. Mark where that is, the drop off. Work in between. Again, 1 run, 2 runs, 3 runs. The flamies, I find, they don't really change like the pearlies do. Pearlies are one of the only fish I know that don't like more than about 3 runs normally. But these things, they don't care. And sometimes as the day goes on, they'll get on the bite better. And flamies definitely have a late afternoon bite. The days when we get like, say 4 guys on the boat and you bag them as 5 each, and we've got like sort of 6 or 8 flamies, lunchtime, a couple of bar cod, some ornates, maybe a couple of kingies and a snapper or something like that. We've got a good box full. And we're like about to go home, might be 3 o'clock. And then we'll go 1 more drift, and that's like 3:30 because that's what 1 drift is. It goes slow to get back up. And we're still plugging away. And then like 4 o'clock, and it gets dark at 5, as you know now. And it's like Whale Highway. So it's scary coming back in the dark. And anyhow, all of a sudden they just come on the chew, and every rod's going, it hits the bottom, you wind the slack up, and the rod's going ding, 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 like this. And you've loaded it up. And next week you've got 20 flamies. And that happens. But you've got to be prepared to come back in the dark against the whales. So sometimes worth the effort. Sometimes.
Whales beat boats. No thanks.
Whales do beat boats, that's true. So does that all make sense? Okay. So what I do, okay, when I've marked that spot, and that spot. There's a few fish down here too, so wherever they may be. So on my GPS back here, let's just go here. Say that marks there, and that marks there, and that marks here, the drop off. What I'll do, and I've worked out, okay, I'm drifting, to get to the bottom, I'm drifting about this distance. So what I'll do, I've done my blind drift over here, and I've moved that far in like 3 or 4 minutes. So I know it's going to take 3 or 4 minutes to get down, so I need to adjust that time. So I'll start about here, and I'll drop down, right? And then when I'm at that point there, I just get onto it. At that point, my mates are going, back up. The line's out there like that. I'm going, no, not yet. You got to wait till you get to there, because otherwise you sacrifice. You need to be at that point where the fish are in reverse, stuck in your line, and it's the perfect scenario. You're right here at that point, and that's where you're gonna get the bites. If you start backing up here and back up to here, it doesn't work. You're not on the fish yet. No point backing up early. Your mates have just got to wait to their lines till you back up. Okay. And then we've got the fish on. Someone might have got a fish on. They're pulling up. A couple of guys might have got a bite, missed it. And now we're coming down to here. If you got your fish on, try and get up. It's going to take you whatever's time to get up. You're probably going to miss that one there, but your mates might get on the fish there. So when you get to that point there, again, I'm going to get to about here. I reverse back up and to about here, and on the second bite chance, which is this spot here. There. At that time, old mate's maybe got his line up now, and he's got a chance on the last one to get a second drop down. Okay? Depends on how many marks. You might have another one down here further. You can have a third crack at it maybe if you're lucky enough. And hopefully the other two guys have got a fish here and they're coming up, old mate's going down, so you're keeping it all happening. That's the same with the pearlies too. If you can keep them going with you, you'll catch them. You drag them out of the field, out of this stuff. But if you miss a time period where there's no lines in the water, sometimes you don't get the bites as much until you get onto that next position here, wherever it may be. Does that make sense? Yep. So it's all about timing. Timing is so important in fishing. People don't realise that. They just drop their line down and drift and wonder why they don't catch fish. You got to work hard. So, all make sense? Okay, cool. So with flamies, like that's what I can tell you. Except just use mullet fillets, by far the best bait. Put a half pilly on the circle hook first through the eye, then the mullet fillet on. Just go through the top, one pin through the top. Leave about a centimetre or around about below. You put the hook through. Does that make sense? And one through. I like to go from the. What do I do? I go from the flesh side through to the skin side. It's easy to push through. Yeah. If you go the other way, you tend to damage the flesh, squash it all, trying to get it through. Yeah, it doesn't want to go. That's right. And always check your hook point for scales on the hook point because they get stuck on there. If you want to fillet your fish, you can do that. I mean, scale your fish, fillets, you can do that, but sometimes I don't mind it because it firms up a bit. Yeah. Oh, it's a bit saggy. Okay. And then apart from that, with flamies, same deal. So I'm now using like a deep drop rod, and you can still use those smaller ones out in the on the flamies too, but they're borderlining at about 250 meters. But that's their sort of thing. Sit in the rod holder. Try and have that part there at least hanging out the back of the boat. Don't have it sit at the back of the transom here, sort of thing, with the line going straight down. So it clears the back of the boat a fair bit. The rods are getting longer. We've pushed them for years to try and make longer rods, like 7 foot long or whatever. There's a new one out from Divers are too heavy in their long rods, but Shimano in their rod holder type rod holders, bent butt ones I'm talking about. Shimano now do they're called Tag'em Elite, and I'm not Tag'em Elite, Status Elite, I think it is. And they actually are about 6'8" long and 6'6", depending on the model. And you've got at least that hanging out the back of the boat. The boat's like here, and the tips are quite responsive, so you feel everything, see everything. remember, if you got that bigger sinker hanging off the back here, it's going to be bent. Probably it's a bit hard to do this, but probably at about that, with the sinker on it, with no fish on it. But you'll still see the bites. Okay. So when you load up, I'm going to do it from here actually. So it's out the back of the boat like so. If you can see that, you'll see it. You'll get the bites like so, and when it's on, it'll be like that. It'll bend over that bit more. Okay, and you'll if it's a good fish and it's really bending over, I'd probably crank it up, but don't crank it up too fast. So you want to be on about 2/3 the speed of your reel, of your throttle. And remember, the throttle, the speed is not the power. It's just the mechanism to come up. The speed, the power is in your drag. So if you don't have much drag done up on your drag and you get a good fish on, it won't do anything. It'll just slip. It won't do anything. Crank that drag up, all of a sudden it'll go, and it'll just keep ripping it up. So it's all in your drag, and the speed's just the speed it comes up. So, but yeah, get that one fish on. If you got one fish on, it's not too bad. And you get that second one on, that's the time that can definitely come up. Don't wait for the third one. It's very rare to get 3 in 250 metres. You don't want to. You're exactly right. Yeah, 2's better than 1 though.
I'm happy with one.
Yeah, well, that's right. That's better than none, right? Yeah. So what I'm doing, guys, while it's out, and I've got my line down, that's the big snap on the bottom here, and my line's down. What I'm doing is I'm backing up, so I'll just pull this back here. So my line's like that angle there. So I back the boat up and it comes down like that. And then I might just let a bit of line out so it goes just that little bit loose. And then just a little bit, so it takes up the slack to tight again. So it's a little bit tight, and it's a little bit loose in the swell, tight sort of thing. That's the perfect scenario. Yeah, it goes a bit loose, that's right. And then it goes back up. Yeah, and when it goes back up, you'll see there on there. Yeah. So you find that sort of scenario for you guys? Yeah. That's how it works. And yeah, just play around with it. But you've got to be on the helm the whole time. It's so great if you can just get in the back of the fish with your mates, but someone's got to be on the motor the whole time. Sacrifice. But you can learn to do both because you're holding the rod. You are on those little ones, but the bigger ones you're not. You're just there watching it. And you can see the sounder coming up. Your mates maybe can't see it behind you. And you know exactly when to back the boat up to get the fish on your rod. And they're like saying, "You're going too far back. My line's in front of the boat." Don't worry about them. Just keep backing up. So is Pete normally gets the fish, right?
Have a look after yourself.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly right, Kevin. These two fish together. I know Pete to be on the helm all the time. But anyhow, does that all make sense? Yeah, cool. Okay, good. Look, that's a really good question because if you get a big fish on it, you don't want to snap off, right? But if you grab it, like say if you fish 24 kilo trolling, that 8 kilo sort of tension is a good tension for deep dropping. Okay, it's enough to hook the fish, and if it's a big one, it can still pull the line out. But it's got enough to pull up like flamies and bar cod and that sort of stuff, enough power. If you've got a real, say you get a bass groper on or a big blue eye, that's 30 kilos, whatever, and it's doing a lot of pulling, at that point, you need to just crank up and hope it doesn't snap. And just get it off the bottom, because they'll get you on the bottom. You need to get them off the bottom. Yeah. So when you get bar cod on, even in 250 meters, they blow their guts. Particularly in 400 and 500, they really blow their guts. But at 200, 250, they will as well. The eyes pop out, whatever. You can't release them, okay? They're done. Simple as that. I don't know about you guys in New South Wales with the, is it the black cod you got to release or whatever it is? How do you release a black cod alive? You don't? Such a stupid rule. Sorry, guys, but it's stupid. Not when the eyes hanging out of the head, it doesn't work.
You got the barbecue on the boat, at least you got one.
Yeah. Anyhow, cod are very hard to release. and it's just the way it is. And if you wind it by hand, if you blame the electric boat, it comes a bit faster, but even by hand they pop, so it doesn't matter. So stupid rule. But in shallow water, I know you get it back hot in like 30 meters deep. That's a different scenario. But even then, they still have the bends. You got to pop their gut.
Yeah, and they can drop drones from land there.
I know, that's right.
Yeah.
They got drones now. Go out to the Swains. We're at the Swains. Just got back last night from the Swains, and we're watching. They said keep an eye out for drones.
Rock ends in the cabin, eh?
22.
They're big. They're quite a big drone. Anyhow,
You'll hear
so
it before you see it, usually.
yeah. So that's the flamies. Everyone's good on that. Now you're going to catch bycatch. I said Kingy's going to be. You've got to drop a jig down. Drop a jig down. Might get a mac tuna. You'll get bonito. You won't get mac tuna out there though. And you're going to get snapper, and you're going to get pigfish, and then when you go down Tweed, where these boys are, you get a lot of sea perch and that sort of pink and pinky things, whatever. Yeah, like pink ones. They're so nice to eat. So nice to eat. And we get what else we call there? You get obviously marlin and stuff like that too on the bottom on your deep drop rigs as well. Blue marlin, they take it. But yeah, it's very messy. Okay, so now this is what people don't understand. I go back to the GPS now. Actually, I'll go to the sounder. So when you're in, I'll change this depth here. We're going to go now from 250 to 550. So you're talking like when you go 250 meters extra in depth, you think you're going to go another 40 k's further out, but it's not. It's probably around about 6k, 8k. Down Tweed, it's 2k, or if that. A quick drop. So we've got this little bit of a bump in 250 meters. We've got the flamies, and now I'll drop down to about 280. Now 280 is a good run on all of our coastlines of ridge. There is sandy parts in between, but please remember between 280 and about 300 there's a lot of reef, okay, and a lot of flamies. So that's the next little bump, and then it'll go down to about around 380, 400. Now this is when you go to this side now. If you look on your Navionics app, we'll talk about the Gold Coast. We have like three big, I believe they're meteorites, not rocks. They're spherical 1 kilometre by 1 kilometre by 1 kilometre rocks, okay, that landed deep into the bottom. And we have one that's sort of down here we call Riviera Grounds, right there. And then we have Jimmy's Mountain up here, which is a perfect round one. And we've got Little Ribs out here, which is another one out here. Now there's hard ground in here on 300 metres where we get bark cod. And this is in about 500 metres out here. And similar here, 500 on that side. And about 450 on this side. And that's where we get, because it's unearthed from the current, whatever, right around, and obviously where they hit the bottom, I guess, if they are meteorites, around there like that, and around there like that, and around there like that. Does that make sense? So if you see it on your Navionics chart, you'll see it perfectly, how spherical they are, like perfect. And they come out about 100 metres above the bottom, and the rest is down under the bottom, I guess, by 200 metres or whatever. It's just the top of them. They might actually be a lot bigger than that. I don't know how big they are. But Jim's is about 1k by 1k. Rivs is about 2k by 1k. Probably done out the dinosaurs, that one. And this one here is about 1.5k by 1k. And that's where we get all our blue eye and bass groper and bass cod in that area. So it's unique to the Gold Coast. I've looked around most of the east coast of Australia, nothing else like it. There's just three big boulders. There's hard rock out here called Mix Mountain out here. It's about 1,000 metres deep, and that is rock. So we've got rock there, sand here. There's not much else but sand or muddy sand. but this holds fish because it's been there a long time, I guess. So there's a couple of little cracks in there too. I don't know what that's from, but there's like a little slot in the rock. And it's always on the front side of it. And that is where, if you can drift that slot, those slots might look like not much on the GPS or your sounder, sorry, but they're about probably 100 to 200 meters wide and quite long, maybe 300 or 400 meters long. And the fish sit stacked in that slot. We call it the keyhole or the slot. And that's where you want to try and drift through. So if you've got not too much drift, like one knot or 0.8 of a knot to 1.2, then get in those slots. And that's where you get everything, cod and blue eye and whatever. Sometimes there'll be the gemfish will come in, they'll drive you crazy. There'll be gemfish there. And other times you'll get a big bass grope, wherever it may be. So that's that area, right? And then the next area is up off Point Lookout. Point Lookout's got a canyon. So there's actually one little area up top here that also has a slot, and it's rock, like so. And then the canyon sort of go around like this sort of thing, and out. It goes down towards Jimmy's, that boulder. So this little slot here, we've jigged bass groper there as well, like 75 kilo on the jig. But that's a good area to fish as well. And it's straight off, I think it's on those marks. Have a quick look. Easter Point Lookout, correct. And it's above the canyon, just above it. Okay, so if you're going out through, who goes through South Passage here? You guys do? So go straight to there and have a look. It's good fishing. A lot of blue eye there. It's around the bottom, on the right side, barclay, bass groper, blue eye. It's those sort of areas there. Those bottom 4 marks. And that's if you're up that way. 22 is the bottom one, which is about, correct. Yeah, correct. Yep. I'll show you on the phone later. Yeah. But you've got that mark there, and then you've got this shelving on this edge here where you get bar cod and blue eye and that as well. Now, the only unfortunate part is both the Tweed Canyons and the Point Lookout Canyons, the drop-offs on the north side, right? And fish always sit into the current at the pressure point. But because you get a drop-off at the pressure point, they're not in the pressure point. Does that make sense? I wish it was the other way around, what was around this side, not that side. And they'd all be sitting here in the pressure point where the current is. We're the reverse in this area. So you've got to find the fish in that area where they are. Does that make sense? Yeah. In saying that, down Tweed, we'll go down Tweed for a sec. For those who get down the Tweed heads, now for us Queenslanders, just jump online, get yourself a 3-year New South Wales license, $80 or something for 3 years, and you can go down there and fish. You've got to go by their rules though, and then by our rules on the way back in. So whichever that works out the best way. But once you get, when you fish in the depth we're talking about in this seminar, once you're about south of say Burleigh, you're in New South Wales waters. Or even probably Mermaid, maybe. If you're out and
at the shelf, probably Mermaid, to be honest.
About Mermaid, correct, matey. That's right, exactly.
Have you tried up Sunny Coast? Like up that far?
I've done this the same in my head, the same way we're talking about. I did a trip 3 years ago with Bobby Hill. He picked me up at Airlie Beach, and we worked the shelf all the way up to Cairns, and smashed it, and untouched, just fishing trying to find the pressure point where you get a ridge that has a north facing with the current. The fish are always on that side of the ridge, and just east-west running ridge, and the current hits it from the north side. As long as the current's running north-south, that's where all the fish are always on that side of the ridge, not the back side. So a lot of people think, oh, okay, the back side's back eddy or whatever it might be, the fish are sitting in there. Not in the ocean. They like the front side. Same with snapper, everything. It doesn't matter. Coral trout, same. Yeah. So, and we got fish all the way up, mate. We got rubies and flamies and barcod, and even caught a raised brim, as they say they go north of Brisbane. We caught one off Cairns in 400 metres, which is a beautiful fish. But down off Tweed, there is one area. It sort of goes from out wide, comes in like that, and there's one area here that has a bit of a ridge that is in the pressure point, if you know where that is. Like so, and then it comes around like that. Does anyone know where that is? It's not about 28. Well, you might call that about 28.12, I think it is, or 14. Sorry, one sec. 28.14 or 16. You're probably off that area. Yeah. About that. It's the northern end of the Tweed Canyon, but it's actually above the Tweed Canyon. And the blue eye and everything sits. You'll get them up here because it drops down here as well. You get them up here as well before that end, because it's a bit rocky there and they sit on the pressure there. But they definitely sit in here. And then you won't get much there, but you'll get them over here as well. There's lots of marks on there, this area. But just, it's not far from there. It's like 3 Ks away. It's not far, 2 Ks. Yep. And here's like, say, 400 or 350, but here's like 1,000. Go that distance, it doesn't change much. Go this distance, it drops down considerably really quick.
Have you fished that stuff in between before it gets it down?
Yeah, we do. We so on this part of the, so Tweed's over here, right? So in about 380 here, 350, even 320, we get barcod, and I've never caught flamies there yet. and then when we go to like 400 to about, which is only like maybe not in 600 meters, maybe.
The big drops.
Yeah, the big drops, and that sort of 420 to about 500, we get blue eye, big blue eye, and then that sort of that same similar depth, about 580, you get the odd bass scroper and stuff like that. But we've caught bass scroper in that 420 area too, as well. Does that make sense? So if you're down that way, have a look. The beauty about Tweed Canyons is it's a long drift. It's a long drift, and it sort of kicks back out down the bottom here. It goes out a little bit here, but doesn't go out much. But you can drift from there down to here. Is a good drift. It's always on that angle. It's exactly the same shape as that edge. You can drift probably around about 2K drift. So you can go up and down 3 or 4 times with fish. Yeah. Which unfortunately, like Jim's Mountain and that, you took a 1K drift max. Yeah, if you're lucky. Yeah, that's right. But you will down here. That spot there is short. That's about probably less than 1K. So does that make sense? So if you guys want to go give it a crack and get yourself a blue eye, I'd definitely be going off Lookout, Riv Grounds more than Jimmy's, and there. And the beauty is you don't get many green eyes. We haven't talked about green eyes yet, but you don't get many green eye sharks over about 400, 450 meters. They love 200 to about 450. Okay, so does anyone caught green eye sharks here? Anyone not caught them? All right, you guys need to catch lots. So green eye sharks are like the locust of the bottom, more than the ornates. So they're a pesky little thing. They grow from about that to about that, and they do have green eyes, and they've got 2 bones. So sharks don't meant to have bones. These guys do. They've got jagged spiked bones. That one sticks out of the dorsal, one's at the back fin before his tail. And when you grab them, you got to grab them on the gills, and that back one will try and impale you somewhere around here. They bend around and try and impale you. If you grab it below that, you'll probably get impaled by the dorsal. So you'll be really careful. Yeah, cut them off. Well, you get the hook out. I hate them, and they're a dime a dozen. So that rod I showed you before, and it's like loaded up like that. and you go Niha, flame snapper or cob, whatever. Full string of 3 red eyes, full string. Yeah. So look, they're good eating. The stupid rule about is it 1 shark per person, 1 per boat? I think it's 1 per boat, which is so stupid. But anyhow, they are good eating. So they're really white flesh, and they're probably the nicest eating shark you're going to get, better than gummies or anything. So eat them. They're really good. Keep the bigger one. Every time you catch a big one, these things make probably, what's those, the animal rabbits. These things make rabbits they can't get pregnant. These things are, everyone you cut open has like 10 babies in it. They're just amazing. I don't think I've ever caught a male one. They're always females with babies in it. They're just they're the most prolific shark in the ocean, by the way. I've caught them over in Vancouver. I caught them in Japan. I caught them everywhere. They're everywhere. So now, you get those on that side of that drift, not there. So you just got to put up with green eyes. I should commercially fish them, actually. So when we're fishing for those bigger ones, there's a few things you need to understand. When you're using 2 kilo, or when you're using 1 kilo, not too bad. You got to deploy your line. When you deploy your line, you make sure your hooks go out first. And I generally start from the first one, second one, third one. Got my sinker in my hand, right? And I know exactly when I'm going to drop my sinker based upon my drift, how fast it's going to take. And then I'll drop the sinker pretty well just beside the boat, away from my rig though. So if my rig's sitting back in front of the boat because I've gone back a bit, I'll drop the sinker there. But if I've gone forward and it's back behind the boat, I'll drop it there, away from the rig. Don't drop it over the rigs, get caught up. Hooks get caught up with each other. When you're using, that's the 1 kilo. When you're using 2 kilo, you'll need to put your hand on the spool and release the free spool button before the weight of this takes up, because otherwise it'll rip the free spool lever out. And when you're using the bigger one, like 3 or 4 kilos, you definitely got to have your hand on the spool tight. And you can either do 2 things. You can just slowly lower the water, but you can't let it again take up. You've got to have the hand ready with this free spool on, because there's a lot of weight pulling it down, right? And again, make sure all those hooks are in the water, because if that goes over and there's one still the boat, gets you the leg or something, not good. It's going to drive it in hard. So, and circle hooks are hard to get out. Okay. So remember that. But as I said, if you're using like the Force Master or whatever, 3 kilos is no problem at all. 4 kilos, no problem. Those little reels, even though you're catching fish that are 10 kilos, it's different to a lead weight. They'll hurt a bit on 3 or 4 kilos, but you wouldn't use that on that size anyhow. They're using 50-pound line, right? But on an 80-pound braid or 100-pound braid with that size sinker, it's fine. Yep. And your breakaway has to be 100 pound, because you need to control that as well. Yeah. That all make sense? Okay. What else going to tell you about? Okay, when you get the fish up, so you got the fish on, gaff, and the cod are going to come up at about 80 metres from the top, again 450 metres fishing, and you got, say, 2 bar cod, they're 20 kilos each. All of a sudden at 80 metres, your reel will start going from to it'll just go fast, because they're shooting up, they're blowing their guts out, they're popped, and they'll pop up like 40 metres behind the boat. Pop, pop, 2 up there. Then just slowly bring them forward. You don't want the hook to pop out, but it's probably well hooked, but get them close. Gaff them in the mouth and pull them into the boat. They're very slimy, so you have to wash down the boat after you've got them, because you'll slip over on the floor of the boat, especially if it's glass or aluminium. If you've got matting of some type, it's all right, or carpet, whatever. And then when you get the fish onto the deck, make sure you have a fairly decent pair of pliers, and just on a circle hook, you just reverse spin it around. It'll pop out. And a lot of the time, because you got the weight at the whole time pulling it up and the electric reel's working hard, it may actually put a hole inside, and the hook will just fall out. Now, if you drop a fish at about 100 metres or 100 metres less, and it goes, the lines always go, and then it goes, and you think, oh, the fish is coming up, but there's nothing there. It is coming up. You've dropped it. But please look back to where you've been, and you may see it floating on the top with its little fins moving around a little bit. Does that make sense? Has anyone done that yet, where you drop one and seen it float in the water? Yeah, exactly. And sometimes your mates or another boat will think they've lost it or whatever. You don't know because they're away from you. And you go drive up for another drift, you drive past a big cod. I've done that like 2 or 3 times. And gaff it and put it in the boat. They don't know. I know who they are, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, so that happens. So keep a vigilant eye out all the time too for that sort of thing. What else can I tell you about? You will catch other fish out there. Like we get these. You get nanagai, the southern nanagai, out to about 300 meters, and they're quite big. They're not the little ones you get in close. They're actually like 2 kilos or whatever. Beautiful eating. You'll also get what they call a giant porcupine fish, a squirrelfish. Sorry, squirrelfish, giant squirrelfish, which looks like a southern nanagai on steroids. So it's a lot bigger, chunkier, deeper, maybe 3 kilos or 2 kilos. The scales have jagged razors on them. They're extremely dangerous. So if you drop it down your leg, it'll probably grate your leg like a cheese grater. Anyone caught one of those here? Red colour, little tiny skinny tail. They're quite common. Caught quite a few out there. Yeah. And someone showed me pictures. They caught 2 out there last week. Yeah. And they're like a small one would be maybe 2 kilos, and a big one's maybe 3 or 4. Okay. We had another thing called a tang snapper. Has anyone caught a tang snapper yet? Caught a few of those at the 2. You get those in about 400 meters. They're like a mangrove jack, but they're yellow in color. And they're called tilefish too. Yeah, so tilefish as well. So tilefish is like a big wrasse. Unfortunately, not like the big ones that get over to America. I think they get to about 3 kilos and swim across to America and grow up. But they're like this size. They're like a big parrot. Really soft meat. Really nice eating too. As you know, Adrian, they're not. Have you caught them yet? No.
I've got some,
Yeah.
Is it Alphonsino?
Oh, Alphonse, yeah. So Alphonse is another one too.
Anything
Yep.
over 250 tastes good. Or just...
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah. Even the green eyes. So Alphonse, redfish. They're like a very small scale, nice, silky, smooth skin, really delicious and quite chunky. And they're generally around about 2 to 4 kilos. So, yeah. And then we get rubies. There's a guy down on Tweed. I haven't caught a ruby. Oh, we caught a couple, sorry, up where we go off Riv Grounds, that area, and further north. We got a guy comes in, he's down, he won't tell me whether, but he fishes down Brunswick Way in about 600 metres. Showed me the photos. Well, these rubies are like 20 kilos. They're like this big. They're like a flame snapper, but chunkier. And he gets them out there.
He's given me one waypoint in 10 years. That's how hard it is to get.
Is that the same guy?
Yeah.
Amazing fish. Yeah, no, he won't tell me where it is. Anyhow, I might put it on there if that was the case. Yeah, so any questions on anything so far? Okay, I think we're nearly at the time. So, guys, are you all ready to go? Are you clued up? I don't know if I helped you. I hope they helped you. But it's really important. Understand reversing your drift pattern. Understand the wind does change, especially those days when you got variable winds. Your drift might be this way, the next time it might be that way. And they're a pain in the arse days, but you can't do much about it. You just got to make it work. Okay. Yeah, that's a good question, and probably no one's asked that question. I think so. Look, probably 3 knots or 2.8, which is quite fast. And what you got to do then, so just real quickly let you guys know this, when you're fishing that sort of 3 knots, you can fish it, but it's very difficult and it's very quick, as in the time you go over your fish. But what you got to do is use a heavier lead, so like 2 or 3 kilos, and you actually drop it. So in this case, you should have a crackers, because you're on the way out there, you might as well drop a line, right? So this is my mark here, and I'm drifting like I've gone up, and this is maybe, say, a ledger that's 200 meters, that area there. and I've just gone for a blind drift, gone to here, I've got the mark here, so I've gone over to here to see how fast the boat's going, and it's like gone off the screen like that. I'm going, holy shit, it's going fast. So, and I'll think, okay, I'll go back up. So what you got to do is you actually go back up then to here and drop your sinker right next to the marker, right on the mark. Drop it. And then what you do is if you're in 380 meters deep, you drive 400 meters in the same direction you're going to drift up away from it. And what happens is the line actually lands on the spot, doesn't go backwards. It goes, you're pulling it forward and it sort of goes down like that, if that makes sense. By the time the boat comes back to it, you're pretty well on the mark. But you've only got one shot at it. That's how you do it. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. But it does work. It works. We've done it. I've fished as a pro here, deep drops. I'm my mate, and his cat, and that's how he does it. Okay.
What months aren't you going?
Yeah, good call too. So, look, we've caught generally, as we all know, the current comes up about November. That's when the pelagics start, and that's when it starts to run about 2 knots. By about January, it's running about 3 knots, and then generally it tapers off sort of around now, May or whatever. And normally June, July, August, September, October are the 4 or 5 months. That's why we do the seminar now, to go for it. We still can get current in that period, but this year we didn't get much current, but we got a lot of wind, so we still couldn't get out. So, but it wasn't much current. There was actually a lot of reverse current for about a month or two, where it was going north. So I would say if you just concentrate on sort of winter and spring, those months, you're in for it. But we've caught fish, we've smashed it in November, we smashed it in January. When we look at the charts, so if you look at the charts, and another thing we should talk about is charts, follow without paying for it, because we've got some of those current ones you've got to pay for, obviously. And they're very good, don't get me wrong, but they're quite expensive. So if you just go onto BOM and go to sea currents, and it was next to sea temperature, I think, and it's pretty accurate. And it shows the little arrows which way it's going, and it shows the different colours as the speed. And it's pretty accurate. Windy also has currents on that as well. So if you go Windy Pro, it's even better again. So, and you got to pay for that, so $80 a year. But you can sort of work out and see the next 5 days what it's going to do. And you also see upwellings and eddies and whatever. And sometimes the current will be out wide, and all of a sudden it pushes in east to west, which is really weird, rather than north-south. Even though it's a north-south current, it's actually pushing in that way as well. So it depends, and we'll decide whether we're going to go down Tweed or go to Lookout, and that's how we do it. So if it's going to be kicked out on when we're going to go fishing on the weekend, or it may be, down on Tweeds, we'll go Tweed way. And if it's ripping down off Lookout, we're not going to go there. Does that make sense? Yeah, so work it out. Yeah, and it's definitely something you've got to do, mate. Yeah. And the other thing too, please remember in winter you get a lot of westerlies. Westerlies are the worst wind out where we're going. It's by far the most scariest, dangerous wind if it comes up 30 knots plus. It's just breaking. The waves actually break, like surf. Looks good when you're going out there, it doesn't look good when you turn around. So, and just remember, if you've been caught, unfortunately, you got to get caught in some of these bad situations to understand what you're capable of when it happens. So what I mean by that is, if you've been out in 36 fathoms and it's been really windy and scary, and you get back into 24 fathoms and it's not too bad, you know you've only got to go 15 k's or more to start to get not so scary times, right? And if you're out in the 50 fathoms and it's the same scenario, you come back in the 36s, it's not too bad. You know you've only got to go that distance. When you're out in 500 meters, it doesn't get any good to get back into 36 fathoms. there is no in between, or even 36, even closer. But you've got at least a 30 to 40k run against shit weather to get back in. Can't think about it. Guys off Tweed Heads though, or Moreton Bay gets a bit ugly too, as you know, but it's not as bad as out there. So you guys can go back to Moreton and hide behind Moreton, but out here we got nothing. At Tweed, you don't have to go too far. So be careful westerly winds. And the other thing I tell you is whales. So whales are every year we get about 2 or 3 customers that come to grief on whales. They hit whales and flip the boat or smash their jaws out or whatever they do when they hit it. So just be really careful in the dark. So unfortunately, we go a long run. So particularly if pearlies in the morning, you might want to leave at 5 or 4:30. So you're in full-time whale time. They don't stop day or night. They just keep going north. And it's like a highway. There's 10,000 of them or something, whatever it is. They are particularly thicker between that sort of 40 and 65 metre depth, I guess. So that's a scary area. So if you go out early morning, just try and find a trawl or something, a light, and just the light disappears, maybe a whale in front of you. Be quick on the helm. But we just when I'm driving, I try to stick on about until I can see daylight or nearly daylight. I wouldn't go any faster than about, if your boat can plane at 14 knots, then sit on 14 knots at economical speed. If you're going to do early, otherwise go. The fish bite better in the middle of the day, so they go a bit later. Yeah, when it's cracking daylight. And if you get that afternoon bite and you want to hang out and bag out on flamies, whatever, just be prepared. It's not too bad on the way back. You've got surface lights and things like that. You can see that you got something to use. When you're going east, you haven't got much to use. It's black. So the morning's always scary in the afternoon, evening. Okay. Any other questions at all? Okay, so GPS marks real quickly. The first lot's mainly pearl perch. And particularly sort of from about Point Lookout down to probably Windara, I guess, or Brunswick nearly, Windara. The second lot, under 300 metres, is Flamey Country and Bar Cod. Again, off Lookout down to Windara. Put all these marks in, guys, and some of them are pretty close marks where it might be a northern run and that's your bottom run of the drift. Under 600 metres, again, sort of up near Lookout Way down to Windara, east of Windara. That's like bar cod, blue eye, bass groper. Actually, so that goes down about Brunswick, actually, that one. Then you get Morton offshore marks. So you got 2642s, probably north of Morton. I think it'd be up Caloundra way. Down to 2706, which is sort of probably halfway down Morton. So that's Flamey's bar cod. Containers, there's some of your container marks there, guys. Just look around. You've got to zoom right in, 10 metre zoom on that because they don't come very high off the bottom. It's a couple of metres. So, and then Pearly's King Snapper, small bar cod. That is in around about 240 to 280 metres. And then your deeper marks are the ones out, the bass, groper, blue eye. All that my GPS, so give them a go. Okay. As I said, every year we add a few more to it from the years that I've done before. But I love to find new marks, and I love to catch fish on those new marks because you've worked hard and you've found new marks to give it a crack. And as I said, we all think, the same boats all turn at the same spot. But when you get out there, it's such a big area. You rarely see 2 boats on the one spot, or 3 boats maybe, but 2 boats is a lot. You're generally on your own. The only problem is people with radar can ping you and they know you're not moving, so that means you're bottom fishing, right? If you're moving, you're trolling. So they'll ping the guys that are sitting, because we do it, that are sitting. Just in case they're fishing on my marks. I'll check. That are sitting stationary. If you've got radar. I don't have radar on my boat, but my mates do. I just take a screenshot of his thing. Navionics app. If you haven't got Navionics app on your phone or your iPad, get it. It is about $80 or $90 a year, but it's definitely worth it. It'll become your fishing Bible. Okay. And I was using it the other day up near the Swains there and smashing it. It's just so good. Use it down here, use it wherever. It works on satellite, so there's no need to have phone coverage. It works on satellite, but you need to have a charger in the boat. It'll chew your battery up in about 2 hours on your phone. So easy. Yeah, so make sure you get a phone charger on the boat and keep it plugged in. The beauty of it is if you go on your mate's boat and he's got good marks, you can actually record his whole day. You just push start and you'll see the track, you'll see everything. And if he's got a good fish, you get catching fish or whatever. So hold the fish up, take a photo, takes a photo, but it puts it on the map for you. So for next time, okay? Tricks of the trade. No phones. That's right. I think that's what I've got to tell you. So we'll do the draw. Thank you. Cheers. Okay. Any questions, please ask while I'm doing this. Okay, tonight we have got about nearly $1,600 worth of gear. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. First prize is about $500 worth. We've got one of the rods, which we've got the Shimano reel over there, and a pack of stuff. And I'm being a bit sort of optimistic here. Got a fish bag as well. It's only 1 metre one, but that's hopefully fish of that size. So someone's going to win that. I'd probably go a bigger one myself. Okay, so I was waiting for the comments. Okay, I need Jack to draw it or Misako. Misako, you're drawing. Yeah. You do. Oh, thank you. Bye.